Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. It was announced today that, or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday actually, that Dmitry Bivol has relinquished the WBC title, resulting in David Benavidez being upgraded to the full-fat champion. And Bivol will, instead of facing Benavidez, go after a trilogy fight with Artur Beterbiev. And a lot of people are quite indignant about this. They're saying, no, we wanted to see Bivol against Benavidez. I take the opposing view. And I know a lot of you will disagree with me, which is absolutely fine. We can all have our opinions. That's not to say that I don't think Benavidez is a worthy opponent. He is, but bear me out. Let me stick with me on this one. I think there is a big history in boxing of trilogies. And I think that in recent years, probably the last 10 years, 15, 20 years, no, maybe not 20, 10 to 15 years, we'll say, there's this idea that if you fight twice, fighter A wins the first fight, fighter B wins the second fight, and therefore fighter B has gained revenge. That's total nonsense. Fighter B has evened the score, but it's even. And I want to see a decider. Chris Eubank versus Liam Smith was a perfect example. And had Tyson Fury beat Usyk the second time, I'd be calling for a trilogy fight there. Had AJ beaten Usyk the second time, I'd want a trilogy fight there. I'm sick of this one each, and I've got my revenge so we can move on. No. You got beaten the first time, mate. In fact, Liam Smith beat Chris Eubank Jr. much quicker, in half the time actually, than Eubank beat Smith. So I'm quite happy to see if it's 1-1 between Bivol and Beterbiev, regardless of whether you think Bivol won the first fight, which I do. But nevertheless, it was a very close fight. Beterbiev got the nod. Second fight, I thought Bivol won it slightly wider, but won it. But it's 1-1 in the history books, and I want to see a third fight. That's what I want. Imagine if there had been no third fight to Ali Frazier, for example, or Graziano Zale, or, those are just two off the top of my head. And if you go way, way back to the pioneers and the, 120 years ago, a lot of these, black fighters who couldn't get shots at the, so-called universal heavyweight or, other championships, they had to stick with the coloured championship, which probably, in most cases, well, a lot of cases anyway, had more validity than the so-called real title. They fought each other a dozen times, these guys. I mean, look at the Murderers. We're not going back that far with the Murderers Row lot, but we're going back 70 years. I want to see trilogy. I want to see conclusive victories. Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta, their first two fights were 3 weeks apart. 3 fucking weeks. It's unbelievable. So, no, I want to see a decider. And as far as Benavidez is concerned, he has been upgraded to WBC light heavyweight champion. No problem with that. Bivol gave the belt up. WBC said, okay, you can have the belt. It's kind of like the IBF did with Dubois. And I think Benavidez, he'll probably have a fight next, which won't be against Bivol. Bivol will go after Beterbiev again for the trilogy. Benavidez has got the belt, the WBC belt now. So as a champion, he will get a bigger purse, so he's making more money. And of course, he will eventually fight the winner of Bivol versus Beterbiev, the trilogy fight. Now, if the winner of that fight, of the trilogy fight, avoids Benavidez, then I will be pissed off. But I don't actually have a problem with trilogies at all. I like them. I think they're kind of like, marathons rather than sprints. I would again pick Bivol to win over Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev is slightly looking his age. He's 41 now, 41 now. Bivol's no spring chicken, but he's a very well preserved 30 whatever. And Benavidez has got time on his side anyway. And Benavidez is an excellent fighter. And don't forget David Morrell, who gave Benavidez a very, very good fight, and he's only had a handful of professional fights. Don't write him off either. In fact, you've got the revitalised Callum Smith. How about Benavidez defends against Callum Smith, who just beaten Buatsi? There's other fights that can be made that are really good. Ideally, I'd like to see Callum Smith and Buatsi fight again, sell out the O2 in London, maybe, as an example. But I think it's in a good state, the light heavyweights. It's in a good state. I know that the leading lights are getting on a bit. That's certainly true. But it's for the next 18 months, I think the light heavyweights are in a pretty good nick. But I do want to see the winner of the trilogy fight Benavidez. And that, of course, would be a unification. You see what I mean? So I don't know. You tell me what you think. I know you're going to disagree with me. Some of you are going to say, no. We've seen Bivol Beterbiev twice. Let's have Benavidez in there. All right. Eventually, but I don't mind waiting. Let them have their trilogy fight first. Settle that. Let the dust settle, and then Benavidez can have the winner. That's the way I look at it, anyway. If you disagree or if you agree, tell me why. Leave your comments below, and thanks for watching the video. Please hit the like button, and if you like the video, of course. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button, and also subscribe to the channel and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Always good to speak to you, and bye for now.